What is up, everybody? Welcome to another riveting episode of the AEW Dynamite Recap and Review. I am your hostess with the mostest. 2 weeks in a row this time, people. Look at us. Doing big things around here. Divine Intervention, joined as always by All Elite Joker.
Yup.
We're not going to mince words, people. We're going to get right into it. Laredo, Texas this week. Another episode in Texas. I will say the El Paso crowd beats out Laredo hands down.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
The crowd tonight was not doing it for me. But is what it is. Everybody paid their money to be there. So started things off with kind of a, I don't want to say emotional match. Maybe it was emotional. Jeff Jarrett's father passed away. Babe, can you remind me of his first name? Jerry. Our condolences to the Jarrett family. Good on Jeff for, fighting literally the day of finding out the news. Very sad to hear, and a big loss for the wrestling world. But nonetheless, a 8-man tag match with Jeff Jarrett and friends, or as we in the house have dubbed them, the Lethal Outlaws. We realized that they don't actually have like an official name. Everybody's just kind of going by their own name, which is great. I think everybody should get the exposure, but no official title. But now we do. Orange Cassidy, the Acclaimed, and Daddy Ass make up the opposing team. And it pretty much went the way you'd expect. The Acclaimed did a rap, of course. They did reference Mr. Jarrett, but they didn't. Obviously, you can't poke fun at something like that. Like that would be terrible, and they're supposed to be the good guys. So, but pretty much saying that once they're done with this match, their sights are on the Ass Champs. Officially now the Ass Champs, now that they have won the AEW tag team titles last week. Joker, I know you're still very upset about this. Joker's not a fan. FTR with some kind of deviating away from Dynamite to talk about a little bit of wrestling news for those who might not be aware. Dax Harwood of FTR with some somewhat inflammatory remarks about the Guns. Obviously, they are set to collide at some point. The last time we saw FTR on our screens, the Ass Boys were holding their funeral.
FTRIP, still a great segment.
FTRIP. So obviously we will be revisiting them at some point, but obviously Dax not super happy with the fact that the Guns I'm sure they feel like they skipped the line a little bit. What do you think?
The Guns are like a split thing for me, because on one hand it's like, okay, the Guns have been there, they've done their reps. Like, they were influential during the Empty Arena era. They've been on Dark probably second most after the Acclaimed, and so, they've done their reps, but it's no secret. I didn't want to see them as champion. No one else wanted to see them as champion. And I know that's not, how it's always supposed to go. You're supposed to have the heels be the champions, but I also don't feel necessarily like they're super ready to be in that light. And so, some truth to what they're saying, but you also can't hold that over their heads, like you said.
Right. First of all, kind of running with some of these comments here. Elvis, thank you so much for joining us from Denver all the way. I don't know how far that is from your home. You've always been with us in the evenings. Good to see you, friend. Aiden, good to see you. Hope everybody had a great Valentine's Day, whether you are single and ready to mingle or, married like us. I hope everybody had a great Valentine's Day. As far as the Guns are concerned, I feel like because I didn't have as much stake in the Acclaimed, for me, I kind of dig the shakeup. I'm very curious to see how things play out, but we'll have to wait and see. Really, like I said, the match will go when it's as expected. The most to report is this Scissor Me Timbers gag. Everybody on the team kind of went through teasing like they were going to do the Scissor Me Timbers, but the appropriate Acclaimed finished spot. And at the end, we closed out the segment with quad scissoring, as Taz put it.
Quad scissor party.
Everybody put your scissors in the screen.
Because everyone loves the Acclaimed.
I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't have as much stake in the Acclaimed. I love them as champs, obviously, because they're very fun. But I dig the shakeup, especially since we will discuss later on in the show how all of this kind of shakes out. Because I don't think people will be mad for very long. We'll have to see. Hold on. Next, we had a brief video package. Bryan Danielson shot a quick video after his match last week. Where he got his ass beat by Roosh. There's always a lot of blood. For someone who's kind of squeamish, AEW is a little hard to watch some weeks. There's a couple of matches in here where actually the next one we're about to talk about where got to a point where I was like, nah, I can't do this. But basically saying that he's looking forward to their match at Revolution. Obviously, he's been pushing for this Iron Man match, and that MJF is acting scared and desperate. Joker, do you think MJF fears Bryan Danielson?
Yes.
Good.
But why wouldn't you? I mean, you saw the man had the Nile running across his face in blood against Roosh, who is one of the hardest hitting dudes in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Let us not forget that. Roosh is one of the hardest hitting men in wrestling. And we haven't seen Max had to go 60 minutes against the best in the world, which Max made sure to say many times. Many.
Yes, MJF cuts another promo later on in the episode, and we will touch on it. Stick with us. Speaking of Roosh and his hard hitting, they had a match next, Roosh with Preston, Pero Peligroso Vance, and then Moxley and Claudio of the Blackpool Combat Club. They had a Texas Tornado tag match. For those who are not familiar with the rules, it is a normal tag match, but it's basically just a 2-on-2 street fight. No rules, anything goes. And man, did anything go. From this point forward, also, I'll be referring to the other faction as LFI. They've decided to abbreviate the La Facción Ingobernables. Yes, thank you. Look, Spanish is not my strong suit. Despite how I look, not a drop in this body. So we will be talking about the LFI, and it is Roosh and Preston who has broken away from his Dark Order brothers.
And still getting his ass beat by Moxley.
Yes, they did kind of touch on the fact that there is some very serious history between Preston Vance and Mox. Last time these two were in the ring, Mox completely decimated this man's mask. He was bleeding out from the mask. It was very graphic. Again, two very different people in this house. Vance he held his own though. Like as he keeps revisiting Moxley, I feel like he is building up to eventually beating him.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like that's eventually going to be that. I feel like that's going to be Preston's big one. Like his first big one is going to be him finally, because they're going to be able to pull from all these matches. Oh, look, he beat the shit out of him. Oh, look, he beat the shit out of him, but a little bit less this time. And you just kind of keep doing that with Preston. And eventually he's going to, finally get, and I guarantee you he's going to be with that lariat that he hits just to be that final nail in the coffin to beat Mox with the thing that he is also known for putting people away with. I mean, put Hangman on the shelf for months.
Yeah, look, I agree. I think that is his end boss. And I feel the more he does in the company and continues to grow, because I mean, he's quite the talker. He's cut a couple of promos, and being like the primary English speaker of the faction now, I think he has a better opportunity to kind of stand in the forefront, alongside more seasoned veterans like Roosh and Andrade, question mark. He was also originally in this faction. He's been MIA for months, kind of like Miro. Not really sure where he is in the pecking order, but should he choose to return, I think Preston definitely has a leg to stand on amongst guys like that.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure his suspension's up. So
he's a diva. I think that he's probably not coming back, just because I mean, there's not really much of anything. Like, yeah, they're in the forefront, but it's not about Andrade. So
yeah,
I don't know. But either way, there's a lot of blood. Moxley started bleeding from a gash on his forehead. Claudio busts open Preston with like a chain wrapped around his fist. Everybody was going into steel chairs and stuff. Like, it was pretty rough. Jose at some point interferes, and Wheeler Yuta comes to make the save. That takes all of like 5 seconds. And in the end, you'll have to explain it how Preston is the one who took the pin from Moxley. So yet again, just showing these two just kind of at odds. But there's something with the chain. I miss it.
So what he did was, the beautiful purveyor of violence that Mox is, that is one of his monikers. He wrapped the chain around Preston's neck, began to choke him out, and then put him in an arm bar, Juji Katami, cross arm breaker, whatever you want to call it. Put the man in an arm bar whilst still simultaneously choking him out with a chain. And he passed out, and that was the end of the match.
As you do.
As Moxley does.
As you do. The only other thing to touch on this one was there were a couple of camera cuts to Hangman Page backstage watching the match. Obviously, he has been very interested in Moxley. After their trilogy, he came out the other side. Technically the loser. Like, he did. It was... Each of them had a win, and he lost the rubber match. That's what it's called. Mm-hmm. But Hangman not satisfied. He we'll get to that. But in all of this, after the match ended, Kip Sabian, who he's set to, he meaning Hangman. Sorry, Taz does not like pronouns. Hangman is set to have a match with Kip Sabian, who attacks him backstage. The end. Wardlow. Oh yeah. Oh, the Wardlow interview had my heart. Wardlow has my heart, though. He's my number one guy. I know we haven't really seen much of him lately, but the symphony lives on in my heart. Damn it.
That's admirable.
Look, I'm sure he's going to come back and have another amazing storyline, feud, whatever, with Samoa Joe. We are set to see them at Revolution. It was made official. Wardlow had a sit-down interview with JR not backstage, but just a regular pre-taped interview. And he speaks about the relationship that he has with his dad, that this is somebody that had, was in and out of his life, but was still very important to him. And essentially the reason why he had the ponytail was because of his dad, who passed away, unfortunately. And so Joe cutting his hair symbolized far more than just hair. And yeah, Wardlow's set to kill him. Set to kill him at Revolution. Joker, you think he's getting his title back?
Big meaty men slapping meat. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait for Wardlow v. Joe 3. Yes. Like the shortcut on Wardlow. Freshens him up. I'm glad we had a nice intimate moment with him. I feel like it helped humanize him a bit. I felt like we tried to make him out to be too much of a monster to be a babyface. You kind of got to straddle that line a little bit. If you're going to have somebody as a face, they can only be so monstrous because you need to have that relatability. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think they did a really good job here. I think Wardlow, I think this was one of his better promos because we've watched him grow over the years. And I feel like, this is one of his better promos that he's cut. And yeah, I'm very excited for the match at Revolution, especially after what Joe and Darby did.
Oh, yeah.
Will we see another?
No, you first.
I was just going to say, will we see another Avalanche Muscle Buster onto the exposed wood?
Oof.
Tune in at Revolution to find out.
What I was going to say was Joe pulls the best out of people, like being a seasoned veteran, but also this like behemoth of a man. Like he's a very large competitor. And so he is able to take someone like a Darby and make every hit that he makes, either seem monstrous in comparison or, just like he's swatting a fly. So I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see what kind of match he pulls out of Wardlow this third time around.
I feel like if Wardlow truly is just like full sends, he could have a really good match with Joe because Joe can take a lot more of the moves that Wardlow is able to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem that we have with a lot of our big men, looking at Wardlow, Lance Archer, and Brian Cage. A lot of them are very athletic and can do a lot of amazing things, but there's not enough big men to take those kinds of moves. And
Right.
Joe knows how to take those kinds of moves. And Joe was a lot like that when he was younger. He was very much athletic, doing a lot of flips and stuff as a big man. And so I think we could have a really, really good match here. Hoping so, anyway.
All the ingredients are there.
Truly.
Tune into Revolution, find it. Joker, would you rather join the Acclaimed or the Dark Order? I thought this would be an easier answer for you.
I would have too, but honestly, I might have to come back to that. I gotta weigh my pros and cons because I like them both a lot. Now, do we mean current Dark Order? I guess that also depends. Do we mean current Dark Order? Or do we mean like Dark Order? Which sect of Dark Order are we talking about?
As they stand right now, if you had the choice to join either one, which would you pick? And you don't have to answer now. We can come back. We'll move on to the next segment while you stew on that for a moment.
I'll answer by the end of the episode.
I was about to say, Elvis out here baking noodles. Mark Briscoe graced our TV screens again this week with a one-on-one match with Josh Woods.
Best promo in the game.
I know. This is piggybacking off of a segment I told you guys about last week. I said, if you like Mark Briscoe or you're, a fan of the Briscoes, check out Rampage and support the cause. And he did not disappoint. It was a short segment of him doing an interview, which led to this match. But Mark Briscoe is taking everything in stride. He is truly, funneling all he has into his craft right now. And I am here for it. And he's a funny guy. He's very funny.
Like I'm so it's such a bittersweet thing for me because I wanted the Briscoes on AEW television because I knew that they'd be able to connect with the crowd and they're a really fun group of guys. They were a really fun group of guys. And unfortunately, Jay is no longer with us, but I'm so happy that Mark, like you said, is taking everything in stride and continuing the legacy that is him and his brother, that is the Briscoes, and showing the world, on a larger scale, finally, what Briscoes wrestling looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You saw a lot of unorthodox stuff, and that's just the Briscoes, and that's because the Briscoes taught themselves. The Briscoes don't have formal training. The Briscoes are a product of their environment. Unapologetically country, and I'm here for it because good Lord, Mark Briscoe is an absolute delight to watch both inside and outside of the ring. So very happy with this match. I think they had a great showing together. Obviously, these guys know each other from Ring of Honor. great match. Josh Woods with outstanding feats of athleticism, like usual. That deadlift German is not an easy thing to pull off, and it is part of his arsenal, just like Takeshita, even though Takeshita does it better.
He wrote a paper about it, so
I mean, you can't beat a man that writes a thesis on.
I was going to say, and not just any paper. He wrote the paper.
Yeah. He wrote his graduating paper on suplexes. So I don't know how you can out suplex that man, but anyway, great match. Froggy Bow for the finish, which is a frog splash elbow for anybody who's not aware. 1, 2, 3. Shout out to the Briscoes. Reach for the sky, boy.
Support. Plug for the shirt. AEW, shopaew.com is, or is it Shop Ring of Honor? I'm not sure. But if you search
I think it's on both.
They are doing a t-shirt sale that all proceeds go to the family. So if you're interested in supporting that, and the GoFundMe, if it is still available, there are ways out there. We've got a giving heart. Additional plug. Like, share, subscribe, people. I know you see all of these fun ways to watch us on social media, on YouTube. Check us out. Contrary to popular belief, there are other shows other than us. Shout out to Charmaine. Thank you so much for joining us, as always. I agree. This was a great match. The other spot.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Shout out to one spot, a corkscrew suplex to the floor. They were on the apron and they did this weird like swinging neck breaker thing onto the floor. It looked really nasty. Also, shout out to the Lucha Bros, because they did come in and make the save at one point during this match. Obviously, Josh Woods coming out with Smart Mark and the rest of their...
Tony Nese and his running niece.
Yes, and Ari Daivari is also there, for reasons. But the Lucha Bros, brotherly love came to make the say. I get it. Plus, they were in Texas, and everybody loves the Lucha Bros. Man, I'm putting this up here because this is funny. Have you guys sent Chris Harris a few boxes of Kleenex? Because his was lost a Super Bowl.
Ain't enough Kleenex in the world, brother. Not for that man and that nose. Anyway, on to the next segment.
R.I.P. Another Adam Cole tease, an interview with Renee Paquette. Pretty much just talking about the small victories that he's endured during his recovery. I guess there was a point in time where his eye was twitching uncontrollably. I mean, he had a pretty serious head injury. And so, Renee is trying to get out of him what's next. And obviously the answer is the AEW locker room, but no person named in particular. I'm sure we will see him in action at Revolution. He keeps talking about it being so close. I imagine maybe the next segment somebody finally comes in and interrupts him and we finally see who we're setting up.
Please be J-Way, please be J-Way, please be J-Way, please be J-Way.
Yes, for those who don't know, I know that, we are somewhat of the lifeline for wrestling outside of WWE. For those who don't know, Jay White has officially left New Japan Wrestling.
Switchblade Jay White.
Switchblade Jay White. He is set to do one final appearance at the pay-per-view this weekend on Saturday. We will be watching. And I think after that, he's a free agent. I'm sorry. He's currently a free agent, but I'm sure he is just extending this to close out some stuff. But I think the Bullet Club's already jumped him out and everything like that. So
yeah.
After this, he's done so, and highly speculated that he's looking to go elsewhere. So chances are high he might end up in the AEW.
Yes, the rumor mill is that he is on his way to America, but no one knows where yet. So the two obvious choices are the E and AEW. However, in one of his tweets, he did mention Bullet Club many times in all caps. So we'll see.
We'll see.
And who knows? He might just pop back up in New Japan. Extra swerve.
It's always a possibility. Revolution is always a very interesting pay-per-view. They do tend to have quite a few surprises. I mean, last year, wasn't that the pay-per-view where we had the triple debut?
No, that was All Out.
Was it All Out?
You talking about when Danielson, Cole, and Ruby?
Yes.
Yeah, that was All Out.
All
Out Full Gear.
Yeah,
it was All Out. It was
I was
All
going to
Out.
say, it wasn't that late in the year.
Yeah,
but regardless, in the past, Revolution has been known for some surprises, so we could be in store for some. Interesting question here. Do you think Bryan Danielson can beat MJF?
I know he can. Will he? I don't know. Can he? Danielson. Look, MJF is a great wrestler, okay? He's good. He's very good in the ring. Probably better than we give him credit for. However, he is no Danielson, okay? Danielson wrestles circles around that man. All right, that's my 2 cents.
Oh, right. Well, great segue as we enter into the contractually obligated MJF promo of the evening. I'll be honest with you, the way that we watch Dynamite, we do not experience the commercials and the picture-in-picture. So when MJF came in on our screens, they were technically on commercial. And what we were privy to and what we got to watch was some of the most hilarious shit I have ever seen in my life. He took his sweet ass time coming down to the ring, because of course during commercial got to kill some time, and he kept stopping at just random people. One person he threw his gum at, which of course that's not new. The guy looked for it, okay? Like, he didn't make it super obvious, but I could tell he was looking for that gum. I don't know what he was going to do with it. Don't touch people's gum. That's gross. Post-COVID era people. He stopped by a couple and the girl kissed him on the cheek and MJF flipped the guy off. He swatted at a kid. What else did he do? He did so much stuff. Such an asshole.
Let's see. He threw the gum at the guy. He took one guy's drink and threw it in his face. He got one guy's girlfriend to kiss him on the cheek and then flipped off the guy. What else did he do?
He shook some popcorn on somebody.
Oh, yeah, he threw the popcorn. He slapped a little kid's hand out the way when he was trying to high-five him.
Yep.
And then he just verbally berated the entire state of Texas, but especially Laredo. Hashtag not my champion still.
He got in the ring and proceeded to tell everybody that he didn't give a fuck about their reaction. And
those words.
And when they started booing even harder, he proceeded to say, oh, is it because there are kids here? Well, maybe if we weren't in Texas, they could have been aborted.
Like they were supposed
to. Of course, we're on commercial, people. You can't say this kind of stuff on air. After that, we did get his true promo where he basically is upset that everybody loves Danielson because they used to love MJF, which is true. There was a time where he, was beloved by the people. And then he proceeds to call out Christopher Daniels from the back, and it is made known that he was bribed with mad cash to come out and shit talk Bryan Danielson. And CD's not about it. He was like, there was a part of my life where I would have done this, but that's not me anymore. And he proceeds to put Bryan Danielson over as one of the best, and MJF's not having it. And essentially puts the same armbar, Salt of the Earth, on CD as he did Bryan last week. Bryan Danielson comes out for the save. Actually looks pretty good in comparison to last week.
Drenched in blood.
Yeah, he's had a week to recover, I guess. But yes, a lot of setup, a lot of interlocking parts as we head into Revolution and this championship match.
I'm very excited. It's gonna be a slobber knocker. I'm glad Danielson's gonna get a couple of weeks to sleep, considering he's been going for what 8 or 9 weeks straight.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That man is a machine. I know Brian Cage is the machine, but Danielson is a machine.
Let the man go back to his granola. That's what vegans eat, right?
I guess. I don't know. I'm not vegan.
No offense to
Bacon too much.
vegans.
I just
No
like
offense.
bacon.
Yes.
No offense. I just like bacon. Because bacon is, what fuels me in
Mm,
rage.
oh my gosh. Next, we have a video package from our newly crowned tag team champions, the Guns.
Meh.
Oh no, Joker. The Guns are cocky. I mean, they pretty much spew off a bunch of stuff that they've been hearing online about them. That the Guns can't cut it, the Guns could never beat the Acclaimed, yada yada yada. Jokes on them because they're now the champs. And that they're not sorry about not having to go to the Indies. Clearly, maybe they heard what FTR have to say. I don't know when this was cut, but they said that they'd only been wrestling together for a year in total, and they've only had 10 televised matches. They've had several matches on Dark Elevation, but as far as TV matches, they've only had 10. And that next week, or I'm sorry, Revolution starts the Gun Show. So I don't know, man. I know we kind of touched on it throughout the whole episode. I'm here for it. I kind of like them. I've always kind of liked the Guns. I know this is not going to be a terribly long run, which is why I'm probably more okay with it. If we were strapping in for an MJF length title run, I might have different opinion about it. But just so we don't have to keep bouncing back and forth, there is a promo that's cut by the Acclaimed shortly after this with Renee. They are invoking what they call their rematch clause. And I think the verbiage is very interesting because we don't really have an official rematch clause. So I'm pretty sure this has to do with how the match ended and the blatant cheating that was witnessed by all, but not really, that nobody really did anything about it. But in the end, they are invoking this rematch clause, and they are inserting themselves into what was originally a 3-way match, and it will now be a 4-way tag team match for the titles at Revolution. And the other 2 teams will be decided by 2 battle royals, essentially, of tag teams over the next 2 weeks as we approach the pay-per-view. So it'll be the Guns, the Acclaimed, and 2 other teams. So we'll have to see how it all plays out. Maybe they will get their titles back.
So, quick thing. During this promo, the Acclaim did throw out, even if they had to send someone through the forbidden door, which I'm assuming means we're going to get at least one New Japan tag team, which maybe somebody from United Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Not entirely sure, but we'll find out. Who knows? Maybe even the Motor City Machine Guns. I mean, they are the New Japan Strong Tag Team Champions at the current moment.
Maybe.
Also Forbidden Door. I don't know. But there's that. As well as one thing we didn't mention or go through while we were talking about the Danielson stuff, the fact that MJF did mention best in the world many times in his promo and used those words exactly, which for those of you who don't know, is something that was CM Punk's nickname, if you will. So moniker. So we're watching tentatively. Revolution might be a little bit more of a revolution than we anticipate.
It's spicy.
Yes, because there is unfinished business there between those 2. So
only time will tell.
Twisty aligns himself with him.
Yeah, only time will tell, people. I mean, truly, the one thing we've always said about AEW is just the only thing consistent is the inconsistency, and not in the storytelling, but results, man. It really could go either way.
And you getting what you want.
Right. Next segment, we won't touch on too much. It was a match between Brian Cage and Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Pretty much what you would expect. Big strong versus small fast. I got to take these notes real quick, okay? I got shorthand. It was a good match, though. I mean, Brian Cage is very talented. Jungle Boy Jack Perry is very talented. The two of them together, they have decent chemistry, but that's not what this segment was about. Jungle Boy came away with the win, David Goliath style. But the true essence of this segment was Christian Cage making his triumphant return to the sweet, sweet ballad of Evanescence. And as Jungle Boy went to go and attack him, he sprayed him in the face with pepper spray or mace, unconfirmed what brand. But Christian's fine. His arm is healed. And he is ready to exact his revenge on Jungle Boy.
Hooray, Captain Charisma's back. Oh, yeah, definitely. Very excited for it. Kill switch match. I don't fucking know.
Oh, man, that'd be cool.
It would be cool. Whoever finished, you have to finish with a kill switch. Like, you can pin or submit, but you have to do a kill switch first.
Yeah. And whoever wins keeps the finish. Because Jungle Boy's been using it somewhat. He still, will stick with his snare trap, but in the desperate moments, he will pull out the good old kill switch. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I did not take notes on this because I stopped taking notes for matches that set up stuff for Rampage. Because it's a completely separate show. We already talk about enough on these episodes. And should we decide to do a Rampage episode, it need to be its own separate stuff. However, I put a note in here, House of Black honorable mention. Joker was taking care of some technical stuff during this portion, so he didn't see it, but perhaps he heard me yell about it in the house. We were sitting there, or I was sitting there watching, and there was a interview with the Elite and AR Fox and Top Flight. Sorry, yes, came in view, and they're like, "Hey, we deserve another shot at the titles." It was some back and forth. Kenny reluctantly says, "All right, fine. We'll see you on Rampage." Split second Bray Wyatt style glitch of Malachi's face into the frame, and then they switched it over to something else. And I was like, what the hell was... I had to go online to see what it was because it happened so fast. But the House of Black is coming for those trios titles. It is only a matter of time. And honestly, given what we've seen, perhaps it might even be at Revolution.
Yes, and I do hope that Top Flight and AR Fox are the ones that wind up taking it off of them afterwards. I still like to name the flight crew, just throwing that out there. Yeah, man. Malachi. I feel like Malachi's got the just the right amount of spook. And just the right amount to where it's not supernatural, but he's definitely intimidating. And so it's his, cavalcade of muscular and tattooed gentlemen and the dark lady, Julia. I need this match at Revolution. I know we're going to get the match, and I'm assuming that this means we're going to get some kind of House of Black something after the match on Wednesday between the rematch between the Elite and Top Flight and AR Fox, aka the Flightman, Flight Crew. And yeah, I'm very excited for this. Hopefully it's like no holds barred or something crazy so that we can, see them go balls to the walls, because the clash of styles is going to be outstanding.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. It's going to be one to see for sure. And I'm curious if they, because I like the fact that they kind of bring up the person who's going to take it next. Like that's why I feel like Ricky is being set up to take it from Max. I mean, you never know with booking and everything like that, but they are always bringing the next person up simultaneously. And I've kind of felt that way about House of Black for a while, that they've just been doing a lot of setup. And so now I'm ready to see them like do something serious. And also I noticed that there were some video glitches at 2 other points during the broadcast. And I can't remember who those glitches were over. And so in my mind, I'm like, did they put those in on purpose to make the other one like not stand out as much? Or the people that were in frame during these other glitches, like, are they going to become important somehow?
Because they have done that before with the House of Black, doing, little, we're having technical difficulties, we apologize. And then next thing you know, it does it again, and then boom, House of Black.
Right.
So, yeah, that could be.
Could be that. Or we've seen where people have taken the miss to the face and had to, struggle with their inner demons and, talking about going home. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff, like a lot of question marks circulating around the House of Black and unfinished storylines for them. So I'm ready for them to kind of be in the forefront for a while.
Truly.
Follow up to the segment earlier, Kip Sabian versus Hangman Page. Obviously slated to have a match. Hangman was attacked backstage previously, like earlier on the night. Penelope Ford with Kip Sabian, who was wearing a cowboy hat, making fun of Hangman and his cowboy shit. So the match itself, it was decent. I mean, it's Hangman versus Kip Sabian. They're both very talented individuals. Penelope gets some interference in. Hangman wins with the Deadeye. Pretty much what you would expect. However, the Blackpool Combat Club come out at the end to interrupt the victory. And Mox is confused because he's like, you feel like we have some unfinished business, and I don't agree. And Hangman's retort basically is like, is that really how you want to end things? Because, I mean, it was a pretty anticlimactic ending to the match. A lot of people were deflated and didn't get the satisfaction that they wanted from this. So a Texas death match is proposed for Revolution to officially squash it between the two of them. And oh, Hangman, the emo cowboy with no friends. Moxley is very quick to say, but the Dark Order come out and, as always, quick to Hangman's defense. And I kind of got upset with Hangman during this segment because Uno is right. They have had his back for the past 2 years. Oh, no questions asked. And even when he was acting funny and didn't want to really be seen with them, or they have always had this man's back. And so Uno comes out and gets in Moxley's face and is like, I know I didn't just hear you say that he doesn't have any friends, because we are his friends. And Hangman is livid that they have come out to seemingly like almost, he acted like he was embarrassed.
It almost, it feels like Adam is, trying to do the lone cowboy thing, because that's always been his thing. And I feel like one of the overarching stories with Adam the entire time that he, since we've been in AEW and since he's been in AEW, like his character has been the lone cowboy who can't allow himself to have friends, And so it's once again the same thing that we saw with him in the Elite. He won't allow himself to have a support system. He won't allow himself to have friends. And so for me watching it, I'm like, oh, here we go again. Hopefully, I'm hoping that he gets his wits about him this time. But, it's, oh God, is this going to happen again? With this 4-year-long storyline with, the ever-changing Hangman Adam Page.
Right. Well, we'll have to see, but Uno says he's not afraid of Moxley, and
slap the shit out of him.
Yeah, slap the shit out of him. And for his troubles, they are set to face off next week on Dynamite. So, I'm sure Moxley's not going to hold anything back. But Uno seemed pretty pissed. Like, he told Hangman to get out of his face and everything. Like, they have really been holding back on Hangman's behalf. Like, he has tried to make it clear to them that he is, just like you said, the lone wolf. Doesn't really want to be seen as needing to rely on others. But I don't know. I think he may have pushed Dark Order away for the last time. And that's it's kind of sad. The Meat Man's going to be very, very sad.
His little buddy, man. John loves himself some Hangman.
Mm-hmm. All right. Main event time. And we had the ladies main eventing this evening. A non-title ladies main event.
With some good cheers, too.
Yeah. I think the ladies are really starting to make their presence known. I'm on the fence about this match as a whole. I feel like each person individually has had better matches, and I was hoping that the three of them coming together would be... I don't know. I'm not sure what I was missing. The story of this match is that Ruby Soho needs to pick a side. They are very clearly building this divide between people who are seen as homegrown talents versus the recruits, essentially. We've talked about this on previous episodes, so I won't go too deep. But everybody has been fighting over Ruby Soho, and she's just here for herself. It ended up being every woman for herself in the match. Ruby did not play any favorites, and she even came away with the win. Saraya interferes at one point and ends up spraying the L in the spray paint on Toni Storm's bootay, which, I mean, hey, I was looking respectfully. Hip attack in the corner with the spray painted L. And just as Toni was going for the pin, Ruby pushes Toni out of the way, gets the win, the pin on Dr. Britt Baker. And yeah, I mean, it didn't do anything to further the story other than just more questions of, obviously if they are setting this up, Ruby's going to have to make a choice at some point. I don't know. Joker, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, it's odd because, yeah, the women are very much gaining speed and picking up, gaining steam, speed as far as the storylines and everything is concerned. But, yeah, there's just something, like you said, missing aside from Jade Cargill. Mm-hmm. Jade makes everything better. Yeah, I don't know. It's just something different. I mean, it was a good match, but it did feel like something was missing. We got a little bit of back and forth. You had Jamie on one side, Saraya on the other side. Saraya's yelling in Ruby's ear. Ruby's like, back the hell off. Jamie starts yelling, back the hell off. I'm here for me. I'm trying to do me. I'm not trying to help either one of y'all. I'm really just trying to do my thing and trying to get this belt. That's why I'm here. Why isn't that what y'all are here for? And I don't know. I don't know if we need more players involved. I don't know if we need different players involved. I don't know.
It's lacking some intensity for me. Like, to me, while the ladies as a whole are getting more popular, the segment itself is coming off more catty infighting versus like civil war, And I don't know what it's going to take to raise the stakes. Maybe the thought of having somebody, on the fence was meant to kind of stir up some drama. And it did in its own way, but there's nothing on the line here. And I think that's it for me. Joker?
I know how to fix it.
Okay.
2 words.
Okay.
Nyla Rose.
Well, I mean, yes, Nyla Rose would be a great addition to the homegrown team for sure. Um, but again, I don't know. I think for me, it's about the stakes. Like, what do you get at the end of this? Bragging rights? There's no title or anything that's on the line. And like without, I don't know. I don't feel like bragging rights are enough. I feel like there's got to be something to elevate it and be like, oh wow, okay, like this is something really serious. They need to come together, or they're fucked.
Well, the problem is these bragging rights should be enough. I don't feel like it's being portrayed well enough on either side, to be honest. But
Mm,
because I mean, the bragging rights are for essentially the soul of the women's division of AEW.
mm,
That's what the fight is for. You know, the transplants are coming in and are trying to take over something that the originals have been sitting there dying,
mm,
to create. Britt's broken her nose, what, 3 times
mm,
since AEW's been a thing. Chris Statlander's been out, I don't know how many times. Hell, Ruby broke her whole face.
yeah.
So you look at a lot of the originals, and there has been a lot of blood, sweat, tears, criticism, and everything in between. There's been highs, but there's been also very low lows. And so I feel like these stakes are worth fighting for, and I feel like they are worth setting this kind of stage for. But I just feel like the execution isn't there. I feel like the stakes and everything are right. It's just the execution is lacking in some way. And that's why I was saying Nyla, and you need somebody. The problem is I feel like they don't have anybody on the transplant side that can really like drive home this. Like, you need a really strong heel here.
Mm,
And neither Toni nor Saraya, because they're supposed to be the heels in this situation,
right.
are intense or intimidating enough to. Because Saraya could be the ringleader, but I think what's really missing is they're missing the muscle on the heel side. Like they need a Nyla Rose, they need a somebody on the other side, and they don't even have to be big. They just need somebody there that's like, oh, that person means business.
Mm,
I don't need them gingerly pulling leave a bait onto the ground and spray painting her on both sides.
right. And see, here's my thing. I think part of the problem too is the forced double turn. The past year, all the major players involved have been playing on the opposite side. Saraya came in as a huge baby face coming back on the scene after years of being on the shelf. Toni Storm was a previous women's champion, babyface women's champion. Meanwhile, Britt and Jamie are on the other side and had just found their footing as heels. And now you're making them go back to a gimmick that didn't work for them. They are not meant to be baby faces. And I think that you can play this divide without necessarily having to stick to these like baby face tropes or heelish tropes. For me, if you bring a person like Nyla Rose on the scene, she's a homegrown talent. She should also be a heel. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with, I'm not letting these, uppity bitches come in and step on my turf. I'm, coming in to cut throats. You don't have to play this nicey nice. Oh, we're all kumbaya here and, everybody gets it. No, fuck that. That's not what we're really about. So, to try to portray this camaraderie that wasn't there before is not helping this situation at all, in my opinion.
I don't feel. See, my whole thing is I feel like Britt and Toni, Jamie, they've been getting more of a babyface reaction. Like they haven't been, because Britt has always done heel shit, right? Like she's always been a heel and she's always done heel things, but she's been getting cheered more and more over, at least over the past year or so, as well as Jamie Hayter. No matter what they've done, they keep getting cheered. It's almost like the Jericho thing where they just been getting
Right.
cheered. And I understand what you're saying is like forcing them to be more baby face ish, but like I don't feel like they're forcing Jamie, and I feel definitely with Saraya and Toni. That's 100% accurate. That was a terrible idea to try and do the double turn with those two because, like you said, people have been cheering their asses off for Toni Storm since she got here, and for good reason. The woman had one of the best women's title reigns that we've seen in the company, unfortunately, and so I feel like they jumped the gun on this storyline. Personally, I feel like we should have done this storyline maybe for like All Out next year, or this year rather.
Maybe, and given it more of a chance to do a slow burn, but I don't know. Like, just like you said, Britt's been getting cheered regardless. She was a heel when she was champion.
I don't know.
So, just like you said, they are going to get cheered regardless, but by making the other people more heelish, because like, yeah, okay, Jamie Hayter went against like Emi Sakura, for example, who is traditionally like never been a good guy. I don't know. Like, to make them seem more babyface, you have to put them against somebody that is more heelish, and it's not them. It's not Saraya and Toni Storm. Because that's the only way that you're getting this babyface reaction, because they're putting Jamie with or against people that are traditionally just bad, seen as bad guys. And yeah, of course I'm going to cheer the women's champion and not Emi Sakura, the evil queen. And unfortunately, I don't think Saraya and Toni have that mean. That's what it comes off as, like Mean Girls.
Well, that's what I was saying. That's what's missing. They need somebody there that we can take seriously as the heel in this situation, because I mean, they are the heels in this situation.
But I don't know who, because it's not Nyla, not on their side.
Nope.
And that's just it. We said that Nyla needed to be on the heel side, but that's the recruits. And Nyla's a homegrown talent. So how do you sort all that out? Who do you put on the heel side? I mean, it would have to be somebody who either is currently with the company or somebody you're planning to maybe sign at Revolution to build, because it's been discussed that this is supposed to lead to like a blood and guts match. And that would be 5-on-5.
The only person at this point that could fix this would be Mercedes. That's the only person I can think of off the top of my head that would be able to come in with enough star power and as a transplant to legitimately, and that would be the thing, to legitimately pose as a threat to take over
right
the women's locker room in AEW. Deeb would be good on the team, but I don't think she's that missing spark that they need to be credible. I'm not saying that Deeb is not credible, because Deeb is probably one of the best wrestlers in that grouping, but Tess is too problematic. They wouldn't touch Tessa. But yeah, I feel like as far as like, again, somebody, if you're trying to make this whole heel thing, this whole situation work out, you need somebody like Mercedes. I can't think of anybody else that's a heel that could come in as a woman, that could come in and do what is needed to be done for this situation.
Right. And I think the problem is that without it, I mean, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's dead in the water, because they're all very talented, and I think the story comes across regardless, but it is missing that little extra oomph for me, as far as like, okay, Elvis, you mad genius, you. That is Elvis. A pretty darn good answer Elvis. Right there.
Yeah, no. There's potential there, because yeah, she's definitely got that boss bitch mentality as well, and could definitely come in with that I'm better than y'all, bow down, bend the knee.
Because here's my problem with Mercedes. I don't like her promo style. Like, the promo she cut in New Japan, and I know that there was a language barrier and everything, but like, it was such an awkward promo of her like doing it WWE style, where she was just taking all these long pauses and posing and everything. It's just like, ma'am, we're on a completely different speed here. So I would need to see more of her on the indie scene, because yes, she could be that presence, but somebody would have to step up to the front and start saying something in the mic that's a bit more believable than losers. I'm gonna spray paint the L on the booty. Like, yeah, no, I need a little bit more than that. My vote's Mandy Rose. All right, Elvis, you win this round. I can't top that. On that note,
Well, everybody, let us know.
Right.
About to say, let us know what you think in the comments. Who do you think should come in and fix this mess? Find out next week on All Elite Wrestling Z.
Oh gosh. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us as always. I've been Divine Intervention. He's been All Elite Joker. You guys have been awesome. Johnny.
Bye, everybody.
See you.